Is this the greatest individual season of Steph Curry's career?
I would say yes, but I'm very, very cautious. And when, in answering that, simply because the fact is that, I'm hearing this narrative now that he should be the MVP. He should, he's clearly the MVP. He's a guy that what he was able to do, to will the Warriors to the playoffs. That is great. That is excellent. But now, are we lowering the bar for a champion to be in a situation where he's got his team to the eighth seed? And my argument against that is, if Steph Curry, which has had an unbelievable run, if Steph Curry is even in the conversation to be considered an MVP, what do we do and say about a guy in Russell Westbrook who set a record that has been standing for 60 years? And you look at the talent that's over in the Eastern Conference with the Wizards. Yes, Bradley Beal. But then you look at if we're going to say that, what do we say about Russell Westbrook's accomplishments and what they were like when they started the season off? And with Russell Westbrook, well, a lot of people, including yours truly, I kicked the dirt on him and said it was over. And yet, what he was able to accomplish with those pieces that he has on that team. So I just kind of wonder about that, where we're going to praise a guy that gets his team into the play-in tournament. And if that is the case, shouldn't we add a Russell Westbrook to that equation also if we're going to talk about MVP?
Obviously, this is what I'm about to ask you is very ambiguous because every voter has their own determination in their mind of what MVP actually means. In your mind, what is it? Because doesn't sound like you would vote for Steph Curry. I'm actually with you there as well. What in your mind, if you're voting for MVP, what is the criteria that a player has to live up to?
Well, I think that clearly it's a criteria of a guy that really, again, takes his team to exceptional heights, really has an unbelievable season that stands alone. And when you have franchise players, look, this is the norm for them. They're the guy that is the number one guy. They do unbelievable things for their team. But I think when I look at an MVP, they have an unbelievable season, and at the same time, their impact is so significant on their team, and it has exceeded the expectations. And yeah, that's what I would consider an MVP and the criteria with it.
So that mean Nikola Jokic is your MVP if you had a vote this year, or you go somewhere else?
Yeah, it's one of these years where, Ryan, you look at it and say, well, hey, a lot of the guys that were so-called the front runners,
Mm-hmm.
from Doncic, he really didn't have a good season. Started off, struggling and really didn't have sort of a season. I think he came on late. But you look at LeBron, you look at Giannis, James Harden. I think prior to his injury, he was perhaps maybe a guy that was in the driver's seat. Joel Embiid, the same that can be said. I look at the Nuggets and what Jokic was able to do. They had a great season. They had an unbelievable season. Did they have some little head scratching losses? Some down the line. Yeah, absolutely. But I just think that because for some reason that season didn't stand out. Maybe it's not getting the national recognition, the fanfare, but it just seems like his season really didn't stand out. I think that I would vote him, but I think that clearly, like I said before, you got to give some consideration or even a look at somebody like Russell Westbrook. I know I heard Chris Paul,
Mm-hmm.
um, even Julius Randle, believe it or not, with the Knicks would get a look. But I think overall, it would probably be Jokic for me.